friends. Welcome to Sky House Herbs podcast. I'm Ashley Ellenboss, a clinical herbalist, and in this space, I share my knowledge and experience with plant medicine to help you on your own journey of healing and transformation. Join me in exploring the ancient wisdom of plant spirit medicine and how it can be used to heal the body, mind, and spirit. We'll talk to experts in the field and share stories from people who've been transformed by powerful plant allies. New episodes are released each Monday, so please subscribe. And now, let's explore this mystical world of plant medicine together. Hey everyone, welcome in. I'm excited to share with you some thoughts, ideas I have, ways that you can use herbs, 3 specific ways you can use herbs to gain control of your life. And it's kind of a little bit of a catchy name, but really what we're going to be talking about is what is control? Why do we need it? Like, what is the point of trying to get control over our lives? And like, obviously, what is out of our control? That's helpful too. And then how do we bring plants in to mirror these ways that we do have control? So I've got some really cool things to show you in my space, some different ideas and practical ways that you can use herbs for yourself. That hopefully is going to give you a sense of greater well-being, ease, and just feeling more grounded, centered, and like having a stronger sense of certainty in yourself about what it is you are doing and what you do have control over. Before we dive into the content, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and we're getting close. So I think every video that comes out, I get like, maybe 100 more, which is amazing. So thank you for subscribing and for following my channel. I really love providing weekly content for you and sharing everything I love and know about the plants. All right. Well, first, let me just say this. I'm coming to you with pneumonia. How about that? Isn't that fun? I have been sick for about 3 weeks, and I have been not resting, right? Like, have you ever done that? Have you ever been like, oh, I'll be fine. I'll just keep going. I've got all these activities. We'll just push through. And so I think that there's this part of all of us that feel like, pushing through is the answer and that we should do all the things all the time. And today's talk, I think is also inspired by my own learning about this continual spiral journey of self-care and self-reflection. And, when something hard happens, what do we do with that hard thing? Do we just try to shove it under the rug and pretend like it's not there? Or do we take out that hard thing and look at it and examine it and say, okay, why did this hard thing come? What is it needing to tell me? And what can I learn from this? What can I do to engage and learn from this? And this idea of control came up for a few reasons, because there are things that are outside of our control. But I think with the election, I'm just going to say it, man. Wow. I love all people, and I'm not going to talk politics on my channel because there's plenty of people already doing that. But what I am going to say is that I think since the results came out, there's a lot of big feelings and on both sides. And I wish I could say at this moment when I'm recording this, that there was a lot of people coming together and like collaboration. And there is that, but there's also, I think, a weird kind of like, I was talking with my friend about it. It's kind of like this high school rivalry feeling of like, a high school football team winning and then the other one losing. And like this weird, it's just kind of like, I don't think we'll all understand what's happening until we have a little bit of space from it. But now, like living in it, it's just very unsettling. So that's another reason why I made this video, is because I think we're living in pretty unsettling times right now. And there's a lot that is outside of our control. And there's a lot that is actually in our control. And for me, with my own health and taking care of my kids who've been sick, there's a lot of things I can do. And I think if we can focus on and identify things we can do, and then let go of the things where we don't have control, then our life starts to feel more manageable, you know? It's like, giving the things that are out of your control from what I do is give it to the higher power, my higher power, and just say, hey, could you take this? Because I don't know what to do with this. This is really hard. But hey, guess what? I do know what to do with these things. And that is always for me, it's always a sorting, a journey. And it's interesting. I wanted to tell you the etymology of the word control. I thought you might find this interesting. So the etymology of control comes from the Latin word contra rotilis, which is a register, counter, or a record of something. And so the act of a control is to compare two things to each other. So it's like when you have your like checking account and you have your register, and then you can you contrast it against the bank records, and you just make sure, okay, all the checks that I've written have been cashed. Oh gosh, this check hasn't been cashed, let me check on that. Or you're just sort of looking at your checks and balances. And so the word control originally had to do with checks and balances. And I think I love that, because that is what control should be. Control isn't, I get all of the things and I'm in control of all of it. It's that, let me just sort out what is what, where things are, and what I can manage. Who do I need to call? What herbs do I need to take, right? Like, what is within my scope of management and what is outside? And I love this idea I got from Al Anon, which is a group that I've been involved with for about 4 years, and they help people who've been affected by the disease of alcoholism. And that can be a family or a friend or a family member or friend, or just someone that, has affected you. And so my work in Al-Anon has really helped me to be like, the thing that they say that I love is like, if it's not in your hula hoop, it's out of your control, right? So like if I put a hula hoop around me, like that's really all I have control over, is things inside of that hula hoop. And obviously I can move and walk around the world, but I can't control other people. And I can't manage situations larger than myself, but I can take my locus of control and I can initiate conversation. I can initiate action, but I can't control the outcome. And that's also a very, a lesson that we see in the Bhagavad Gita, an ancient spiritual text from India, where Krishna says to Arjuna on the battlefield, he goes, like, you're only responsible for your actions, and you have to let go of the fruits of your actions. Those are not yours to, you're not in control of what happens after that. So this idea of a register, something that we're trying to make sense of. And here's what I thought of for today's talk is like, okay, what are your values? Like, what are the things that matter to you? What are the things that, like, you would put a flag in the ground for, something that you want to dedicate your energy towards, like things that really mean something to you, so things that you really value, things that are personal, that impact you or have impacted you in some way. And those are going to be the things that are going to be easier and more like authentically aligned for you to act on. And the things that I think you and I have in common, that we're going to talk about in our 3 things we can control, is, I think all of us want self-sovereignty. We want to be able to care for ourselves and to be able to take care of our own health, to have, self being responsible for our health. And it's like, for me, I started off being sick, and you know, I take responsibility for a week of activity and not resting when I was sick. And now I am where I am, and I own that. It's nobody's fault. It's mine. And I, and so, and in hindsight, even though I took a bunch of herbs and I, drank my teas and I took my tinctures and all of that, um, I can see where I can admit where I fell short. And that's really important that we do, is we are able to take responsibility for, like, the things that we are responsible for. And so, I think we can all agree that we all want to be able to care for ourselves, have self-sovereignty. And another thing I think we can all agree on, hopefully, is that we all want to have a regulated nervous system. I'm guessing you don't like being stressed and anxious and worried and angry. I don't. I think most people really would much prefer to be in a stable mental and physical state in their nervous system and in their mind. So we can agree on that. Hopefully, we can agree that we also want to make the world a better place. We want to make it more delightful. We want to make it more safe. We want the world to reflect the goodness and the beauty that we know to be true from our own experiences of nature, of our own hearts, of the generosity of others' spirits, right? So if we agree on those things, that those are things that we value self-sovereignty, self-care, a regulated nervous system, and we want to make the world a better place, then if those are the values on one side, then to be in control is we're going to create actions that will allow those three things to actually be in the world, like, so that your values are then given action. So the first way is for self-sovereignty and self-care is to actually use herbs. Isn't that funny? And in order to use herbs, you have to have herbs on hand, and then you have to use them. So make sure, think about the things that you often need. Do you have them stocked? And this might be a good time for you to look into your medicine cabinet and say, what do I need? Gosh, I'm out of peppermint tea and I'm always, feeling like I need something after dinner to help with like a little bit of gas and bloating. Or gosh, you know what? I've been thinking about buying chamomile flowers to make an infused oil, and I just haven't done it. Like, make a list of the herbs that you need and the things that you commonly have, like conditions or symptoms, and then the herbal counterpart. So you got to have the herbs in order to use them. So starting there, making your list, going to a reputable herb source. The sources that I really like, I'll put a little list in the description, but like Mountain Rose Herbs, Sackwood Herb Farms, Herbalist and Alchemist for tinctures. I'll include a little bit of a list, but have the herbs on hand so you can use them. I think that's number one. And when I say, like, if you really value self-care, self-sovereignty, then make sure that you're using the herbs daily. And that might look like, for you, you're using a tea, you're drinking a nervine tea every day because it helps you stay calm. For you, you might have digestive issues. So you're taking an herbal powder, or taking herbal capsules and probiotics, but you're doing it every day. This is what you do have control over, is what you do. And you know what? I'm not like the best at remembering things. So I put reminders on my phone, and I put all of my herbs I take in the morning next to my toothbrush, because if they're not where I can see them, I don't remember to take them. So I've got tricks I've created. So I take my herbs that I need every day. You can do the same thing. So just, think about what's going to make it easier for you to use the herbs that are going to help you, be healthy, feel good, feel centered, and take care of yourself. A few other ideas of things that you can do every day: tinctures, maybe oxymels, maybe making an herbal syrup. I just harvested a bunch of rose hips. Aren't these beautiful? They're beautiful, this bright orange color. So my daughter and I harvested those. We're going to make some rose hip syrup. I also just harvested these last roses from our garden. Roses are so good for the heart, and I just brewed myself a tea for heart and lungs. And I don't know if my camera is going to show that. Probably not. I'm probably going to pour it all over my computer, but I'm just going to pour this now. So I made myself a blend today for what I'm feeling today. And that's why I love having a variety of dried herbs. So what I'm drinking today is the fresh rose, one of these roses from my garden, for grief and heartache and heartbreak, which is something that I'm feeling. That's a reality for me right now. It's also gently drying and astringent, which I need for my lungs because I've got a lot of gunk in my chest. I've got mullein, dried mullein leaves that my friend Holly let me borrow or harvest from her, not borrow, I'm not giving them back, but let me harvest from her yard for my lungs to help heal my lung tissue because my lungs are really, really sore right now. And in Chinese medicine, the lungs are attached to grief. In Chinese medicine, they believe that the lungs are how we process grief. And there's been a lot of hard things. So I think my lungs are weakened because of just a lot that I've been having to process lately. So I have mullein leaves. I have licorice, which is a wonderful immune modulator. Um, it's also strong anti-inflammatory, kind of like a prednisone. So it's going to help open up my airways, help me to get deep breaths, take the inflammation in my lungs down. And it's also a little bit of an expectorant. So it'll help loosen up the gunk that's settled in my lungs. And I also put in, what else did I put in? Cinnamon as a mucus thinner. It's also really good for digestion. And I put in some spearmint since that's the herb of the month for our Roots and Spheres course. So spearmint's also really good for digestion and keeping the spirits light. So that's my tea. And it's not, the herbs are not going to help me unless I drink them. And they're not going to help you unless you take them. So this is your reminder that the first thing you can do is start taking your herbs. Okay. Simple. All right. Number two, a second way to get back control is to grab a hold of your creative force. And I mean it. A lot, we can go into periods of depression quite easily when we're feeling really, upset by circumstances, if we've had loss, if we've experienced trauma or continual trauma. Um, Depression is real, and a depressed spirit means lowered immunity as well. And so when we start to actually use our creative force and start to create things, it actually really lifts our mood. It brightens our spirit. It activates our chi and our vital force, which is the healing part of our spirit body, you could say, lives in the stomach. So when we are creative, our energy moves. And so it's really important if you want to feel like you've got control over something, is to do something with that creative force. So let me give you some ideas that are herbal. One thing my daughters and I did last week when they were homesick from school is we made these herb pillows. So I just had a bunch of old, fabric from my grandmother's house. She used to make quilts. And so I just got a bunch of her fabric pieces and I taught my girls how to make little pillows. And pillows are like the easiest thing to sew. So you can even see like their stitching is not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. But you take two pieces of cloth and they're inside out. So you put the nice parts back to back, and then you just hand sew all the way around. And then you fill it with I did a little bit of stuffing so it's soft on this side. And then do you hear the herbs on this side? And what I did in here is I put bee balm or Monarda fistulosa, which is really good for helping with sweet dreams. And there's lavender, a little bit of rose. They put skullcap in because they all love skullcap as a relaxing herb. And then they each wrote a wish. And so you can hear that little piece of paper. So they each wrote a wish on the piece of paper for like dreams that they want to dream about or wishes they have. And they put those in the dream pillows. So, there's different stitches. I taught my older daughter, I forget what this is called, like a hook or loop or tie stitch. And then my younger daughter, who's, she's 6. So this was her best job. And this was my 8-year-old's best job. And it's fine because it's theirs. And so they sleep with these at night. I know you probably hear my cough. You're like, girl, I know. So this is one creative thing is you can make yourself an herbal pillow. And there's something about crafting that's just, it's nourishing for our nervous system and for ourselves. Some other ideas is making herbal medicines. So for example, like, with these rose hips, like making a jam, whatever, just doing something with the plants that is using your creative juices, right? It could be drawing or painting. I recently have been into doing line drawing with um, black like thin markers, and I've been drawing trees and like learning how to draw different barks, and I just find it really, really relaxing. And I'm not an artist, but the creative process is so therapeutic, and it's so much better than scrolling on your phone and wasting time engaging in things that don't feed you, that actually drain you, and that stir up things that we don't need to stir up. So think about that. Think about what are some creative art projects involving plants that you can start to do to take control of your chi, your life force, and direct it into something that you can enjoy. The third way you can take control of your life using herbs is by beautifying your space and bringing beauty into the life of others. And I wanted to read this. I love this book by David White. It's called Consolations, and he takes single words and then he like breaks them down and explores them. So he says this about beauty. Beauty is the harvest of presence, the evanescent moment of seeing or hearing on the outside what already lives far inside us, the eyes, the ears, or the imagination, suddenly become a bridge, the here and the there, between the then and the now, between the inside and the outside. Beauty is the conversation between what we think is happening outside in the world and what is just about to occur far inside us. And it goes on and on, but that's just a little excerpt. So, beauty, it's like the blending together of what is around us and then what it is arising within us. And, like, again, think about control as checks and balances, getting those two to line up. So, what I do is one of my practices is having vases of flowers in my home year round. And I just want to show you what it looks like here. It's November in Minnesota. Most of my flowers have died, but this is what's alive. And the first thing that called to me were these beautiful motherwort leaves. And as soon as I walked out, it was like called my name. And motherwort is a wonderful herb for the heart. And it's the motherwort. So it's like a lot of herbalists talk about it being used for like mother wounds. But I think of it for me right now, it's just like reminding me to mother myself. Like I need to take care of myself. I need to give myself the same care and nurturing that I gave my girls when they were sick. So I was so glad when I opened the door that that was the first herb. So, it's not like a showy flowery herb, but it's a medicine. And when we bring these medicines inside of our home and then we see it every time we see it, every time I see motherwort now on my desk, or I'm going to bring this down to our kitchen table, I'm going to be like, Ashley, mother yourself, right? Like take care of your heart, take care of yourself. And then there's some different these salvias, these purples were in bloom. Um, this is some Rudbeckia or black-eyed Susans are just about done, but these were the last ones, and so I brought them in. These are the dried stems of Monarda fistulosa or bee balm, which is a very special plant to me and is a wonderful herb for being an antiviral. It's anti-infective. It's really good for thinning mucus. It's not in my tea today. I should have put it in, but I'm going to put it in tonight because it's really good for the lungs and clearing mucus as well. And it's a member of the mint family, so it also is helpful with cramps and spasms and digestion and all of that. And I just love, again, like these are dried. I have 3 here. And I just, again, like to me, the symbol of them as medicine helpers. And yeah, just sort of like they're kind of encouraging um, and reminders that, even when things seem dead, there's actually living seeds inside. There's actually there's, at least 100 plants living, like there's live plants in there, which is really neat. And then the last herb in my little bundle here this is lady's mantle, Achillea or alchemilla, the little alchemist. And these are kind of fuzzy and soft. And this herb, I just, it was one of the last green leaves, and I just love how fuzzy they are. And it's just a reminder of the ability to transform, to take something that was hard, turn it into something good. Like, how do we transform things? So that's going to be the way that I hold this. And it's also an herb. It's also, lady's mantle. It's an herb that's often used and associated with women's issues like cramps and issues with the cycle and strong menstrual bleeding. I don't have that, but I do like the idea of having a little alchemist nearby to help me heal. Um, and then I've just got this little lingering. What are you again? Not an impatience. I'm forgetting the name. It's okay, but it's a pretty little, it'll come to me later. So having beauty, beauty is the third thing. So how do you bring the beauty of nature outside, inside your home? And how do you share the beauty you see in the world with others? And so one of the things I was thinking about is when a friend of mine recently lost someone they love. I made a little herbal care package, and I just blended some herbs as a tea. I made a little heart healing tincture, and I hand drew labels, and I put it in some beautiful tissue paper and put little bows on it and wrote a little card. And just something small, but something from my heart and something of beauty, so that when they open it up, they feel love and beauty, despite their own heartache and grief. And I think that's something we can do for each other, is just little bundles, like just little gift packages and little bundles of beautiful things for people to lift their spirits, to remind them that there is beauty in the world and that there is beauty inside of them. And when we see these beautiful things, we feel it wake up the beauty inside of us. And I think that's medicine. It's medicine, and it's something we can do. It's something we have control over. And maybe for you, it's even just bringing flowers to school for your child's teacher. Teachers love getting flowers for their classrooms, or, maybe it's letting bringing in a little bouquet for your hairdresser. I don't know, just those small little acts. And I just wanted to end with that, and with a poem by Mary Oliver. Um, but this idea of like the small things are the most important, like the small acts are the ones that really are the most healing. So I'm going to close with this poem by Mary Oliver. It's called A Dream of Trees. There is a thing in me that dreamed of trees, a quiet house, some green and modest acres, a little way from every troubling town, a little way from factories, schools, laments. I would have time, I thought, and time to spare, with only streams and birds for company, to build out of my life a few wild stanzas. And then it came to me that so was death, a little away from everywhere. There is a thing in me still dreams of trees, but let it go. Homesick for moderation, half the world's artists shrink or fall away. If any finds solution, let him tell it. Meanwhile, I bend my heart toward lamentation, where, as the times implore our true involvement, the blades of every crisis point the way. I would it were not so, but so it is. Whoever made music of a mild day? Let me read that again. Where, as the times implore our true involvement, the blades of every crisis point the way. I would it were not so, but so it is. Whoever made music of a mild day. So I leave us with that idea that it is not the mild days that inspire us to be our best. They are not the days that inspire us to check and balance our lives and make sure that we're living in integrity to our values. It's not the mild days that spark creative exploration and creative ventures and community enterprises. But it's in the hard days, it's in the challenge, it's the crisis points the blade of grass to the answer. So I hope this video has been helpful for you and maybe has given you a little time and space to sit with yourself and to think about what it is you value and where you want to place your energy and the way the plants can help you at every turn. There's so many ways that herbalism is a lifestyle. They're not just commodities we use, but herbalism is a way of life. And the more we can integrate the plants into our daily lives, um, the more we start to feel nourished, supported, and I think the better able we are to then give and support those around us and to build strong community. And one last thought, something I heard, I'm going to look up his name. I was listening to this wonderful speaker who's written a number of books, and he's just like, one of those figures that I try to watch and follow. Baratunde. He left a really beautiful message on Instagram the day after the elections when the results came out, and he just said um, one of the closing words that he heard an author that he really respects. She said, instead of thinking about brace for impact, which is like hold yourself tight and brace for impact, like when you know something really bad is coming, she said, and he encouraged all of us to instead embrace for impact. Embrace for impact. And I think that's the way forward, is to embrace, because that takes two people or more for impact. So I'll leave you with all of those little morsels in your basket of the day. Please feel free to leave your comments, add your thoughts, your questions. What are your favorite ways to use herbs to help you feel in your body and in your own locus and sphere of control? I would love to hear those as well. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel. And please subscribe if you haven't, because we're getting really close to my goal of 10,000 followers, which is for me like 10,000 friends. I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. So thank you again, and take good care of yourself and enjoy your day.